So, the big creator in the sky crafted our bodies like these super cool engines, packing a ton of power. But guess what? Even cool engines need fuel to keep running smoothly, and for us, that fuel is good old food. Deep down, the big guy upstairs wired us with this craving for grub, calling it hunger. It's like a built-in reminder to make sure our bodies get the fuel they need. Food not only hits the spot, but also gives us the kick we need, playing a role in keeping life's balance in check. Now here's the head-scratcher. Why would anyone willingly ditch a meal? In today's hustle, we're all about those 3 squares a day. You've heard it a million times. A hearty breakfast sets the tone for the day. Chow down to get strong. That's the drill we got in school. Eat right, move a bit, and you'll be a powerhouse. So in a world telling us to keep those forks busy, why would someone pass on a feast? The common lingo for skipping meals is dieting, usually for shedding some pounds or health reasons. But for some folks, it's more than that. It's like a journey into the spiritual zone. The biblical term for this practice is fasting, and it involves abstaining from food for a specific period to achieve a spiritual goal. An example from the Old Testament illustrates this concept. In Leviticus 16:29 it stated, "And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that in the 7th month on the 10th day of the month ye shall afflict your souls and do not work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you." This practice, known as the Yom Kippur fast, was a yearly requirement for Jewish believers. Yom Kippur, meaning the Day of Atonement, was the designated day for this solemn fast. It was a day when everyone, regardless of background, refrained from eating as an act of devotion. God mandated this annual fast as a collective remembrance on the Day of Atonement, emphasizing the significance for all to participate in this spiritual practice. The profound moment of securing one's salvation is a solemn experience. On the Day of Atonement, the high priest entered the Holy of Holies, presenting the blood of an animal as a substitution for everyone's sins, Leviticus 16:24. After this sacred act, the high priest washed himself in the holy place, donned his garments, and emerged to offer a burnt offering for himself and the people, making atonement for all, Leviticus 16:24. The Day of Atonement, addressing the sins of the nation, led everyone to fast, symbolizing unity with the high priest who sacrificed a lamb for the forgiveness of sins. Drawing a parallel, Jesus advised his disciples about fasting in Matthew 6:16-18. He cautioned against putting on a show while fasting as hypocrites did, urging a genuine and humble approach to fasting, emphasizing a personal connection with God rather than seeking public recognition. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:18. Even back then, Jesus cautioned against flaunting our fasting. When we willingly give up both enjoyable and necessary food, it captures God's attention. Jesus specifically warned his disciples not to fast for public acclaim, emphasizing that fasting is a legitimate spiritual discipline, as indicated by the phrase, "whenever you fast." To fast means to temporarily abstain from a bodily craving, usually food for the sake of a spiritual need. Instead of indulging in meals, you devote yourself to secret prayer, seeking God's intervention in the kingdom. However, if the intention behind avoiding food is to gain approval and compliments from others on your perceived spirituality, then their admiration may be the only reward you receive. Your reward will be your reward. Now, let's talk about some concerns related to fasting. If you've never tried it before, the idea of going without food might seem a bit intimidating. We're used to having 3 square meals a day, so the thought of breaking that routine can be worrisome. People often wonder if they'll genuinely go hungry, and how intense those hunger pains might be. Others worry about their ability to stick with it, not wanting to start a journey they can't finish. Then there's the scenario where a tempting TV commercial pops up, suggesting a candy bar as the ultimate afternoon pick-me-up. On another note, there's concern about how friends might perceive your fasting habits. "Will my friends think I'm weird if they find out I'm fasting?" is a common worry. Here's the simple answer. You don't fast to impress your friends, and most of the time, you don't even need to tell them. As mentioned earlier, Jesus emphasized the personal and private nature of fasting. It's about your connection with the spiritual, not a public display for others. When you fast, anoint your head and wash your face so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Matthew 6:17-18. Jesus in these words urged us not to showcase our religious dedication outwardly. Fasting, he emphasized, is a private commitment between you and God. You can choose to fast without announcing it to the world. There are times for a private fast and other occasions where you might join in a public fast, perhaps with your church or another individual. In times of communal challenges, fasting has been a powerful tool. Ezra, facing a problem, fasted with 4,000 people seeking divine intervention. Esther, too, called upon all Jewish believers to fast for a similar purpose. Every May, Christians are invited to partake in the National Day of Prayer and Fasting, coming together for a collective spiritual effort. What is fasting? Fasting isn't your run-of-the-mill dieting or skipping meals for health reasons. It's a unique practice, often undertaken for spiritual reasons, accompanied by prayer. This biblical discipline isn't just a physical act. It's a means to boost your spiritual fitness and transform into a prayer warrior for God. Contrary to the notion that Christians might not need discipline, we, as Christ's soldiers, strengthen our spiritual muscles through various exercises, and fasting is just one of them. Expect opposition when you decide to fast. Whether you're praying for your church or the salvation of others, Satan might throw obstacles your way. Think of fasting like climbing a mountain. It requires effort, dedication, and a willingness to face challenges for the sake of a higher spiritual goal. Fasting is a journey that demands both spiritual and physical commitment. Before embarking on this adventure, it's crucial to understand the challenges that lie ahead. Brace yourself for difficulties, but keep in mind that the benefits will far outweigh the struggles. For starters, if this is your first fast, begin small. Your initial step of faith, even if it seems modest to others, will be monumental for you, and God will honor it. Remember, during a fast, God is not just concerned about the duration, but also about your heart's response. Your attitude plays a significant role in your fast. Just like in a marriage proposal, it's not about the length, but the sincerity of your heart. When you start fasting, don't stress about how long it should last. Focus on ensuring your relationship with God is in good working order. God understands everything, and He values the sincerity of your prayers over their length. If you've never fasted before, consider beginning with a one-meal skip fast. In the Old Testament, Jews were required to fast for one day on Yom Kippur each year. A day in their calendar started at sundown and ended at sundown the following day, following the Jewish method of counting days, where the evening and the morning constituted a day, Genesis 1:5. Plan to commence your fast at sundown or a bit earlier. This means skipping the usual evening meal, then foregoing breakfast and lunch the next day. After sundown, most Jews concluded their fast with a regular meal. Fasting with a friend can make the journey more manageable. While private prayer and fasting form the foundation of intercession, having a companion on this path can provide support and encouragement, especially if you're new to the experience. Consider starting your fasting journey with a companion. If you're fasting with a specific prayer in mind, invite someone to join you in prayer and fasting. As Jesus mentioned in Matthew 18:19, there's strength in numbers. Truly, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. When two agree on anything they ask, it will be done for them by the Father in heaven. These verses aren't just about prayer, they're also about the commitment we make in agreement with someone else. Think of it like planning a vacation with a friend. It becomes more memorable when you plan, dream, and share experiences together. Sharing your fasting journey with someone else adds depth to the experience, making it more meaningful and rewarding. Sharing the experience of fasting and praying with someone else can enhance the focus of your prayers. Moreover, fasting with a companion comes with additional benefits. You have a partner with whom you can openly discuss doubts, questions, and fears. If fasting feels daunting, having someone else's strength can be the support you need to persevere. During challenging moments, a simple phone call to your fasting partner can provide advice and the motivation to keep going. Don't underestimate the power of that connection, And let's not forget about the celebration. When you climb a metaphorical mountain on your own, the victory is personal. However, when you climb with others, the celebration is shared. At the summit, there are cheers, hugs, and a collective joy. The triumph becomes a shared story to tell, spreading the inspiration to everyone involved. Upon completing your fasting journey, the joy of success is even more delightful when shared. Rejoicing together makes victory taste sweeter. Fasting with a friend also brings the advantage of accountability. Knowing that a friend is aware of your fast reduces the temptation to sneak a snack or break your commitment. Consider the analogy of jogging or walking for health with a friend. Having a partner enhances commitment when faced with challenges. Even if you're strong-willed, collaborating with someone in the same boat can be beneficial for mutual support and accountability. As you prepare to fast, delve deep into your heart to understand the purpose behind it. Purposeful fasting involves introspection to identify the reasons driving your decision. There are various motivations for fasting, which we can explore further. Young David faced Goliath when no other Israeli soldier dared. They refused to battle the Colossus, each giving David a different reason to avoid the fight. Yet, David was undeterred. He had a compelling reason to face this particular giant. Fasting isn't just about praying and abstaining. There's a reason behind it. Are you willing to fast and sacrifice your pleasures? Take the time to make a list of your cause, putting it down on paper. When a cause stays only in your mind, it can become blurred or vague. You may have a general idea of why you should fast, but writing it down sharpens your focus and makes it clearer. Plan everything meticulously, from the start of your fast to the reasons fueling your commitment. Having a well-thought-out plan can contribute to a more successful and purposeful fasting experience. Don't approach your fast casually. Have a planned and determined attitude for success. Fasting requires commitment. Otherwise, you're likely to face challenges and give up. Avoid participating in a fast just to test your limits or see how far you can go. Some people quit at the first sign of discomfort. Instead, make a firm commitment to fast for one day, regardless of the circumstances. Moving beyond just thinking about fasting, you're now taking the next step by committing to seek God for your cause. This commitment is based on grace and God's help, ensuring a purposeful and meaningful fasting experience. Now, let's explore different types of fasts, starting with the absolute fast. This involves eliminating all food and water, as seen when Paul followed this type of fast for 3 days, after encountering the Lord Jesus on the road to Damascus and being struck blind, Acts 9:9. Acts 9:9 mentions that Paul neither ate nor drank during his absolute fast. For your first fast, it's advisable not to follow the absolute fast. This intense form of fasting is intended for those facing deep distress or dealing with severe problems, such as seeking deliverance from addiction or protection from a spiritual adversary. Consider the normal fast for starters. In this fast, you avoid all solid foods and consume only liquids. Fasting, as often mentioned in the Bible, generally refers to abstaining from solid food, with the issue of drinking liquids often omitted. For instance, when Jesus fasted for 40 days, there's no explicit mention of him drinking liquids. Luke 4:2. When people fast, what they drink can vary. Some choose to cut out enjoyable drink items like soda and various fruit drinks. The key is to stay hydrated while abstaining from solid food during the fast. This corresponds to the Old Testament description of afflicting themselves and fasting, as seen in Isaiah 58:3. Why have we fasted, they say, and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed? Yet on the day of your fasting, you do as you please and exploit all your workers. Now let's explore the partial fast. In this type of fast, you eliminate certain liquids or certain solids, but not all. This is often referred to as the Daniel fast, named after Daniel, who at one point refused the king's food. Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Daniel 1:12. This fast did not harm Daniel or his friends. In another instance, Daniel reflected the spirit of the partial fast. I ate no choice food, no meat or wine touched my lips, and I used no lotions at all until the 3 weeks were over. Daniel 10:3. This specific example outlines what Daniel avoided during this partial fast. Here are a couple more types of fasts. Dessert fast. This involves abstaining from pleasant foods, similar to our donuts or cakes, a dessert fast. Non-meat diet. This type of fast excludes meat from the diet, wine or pleasurable food. Fast. Fasting from wine or any pleasurable food that brings joy. Now let's explore the John Wesley fast. As the founder of the Methodist movement, John Wesley called his parish preachers to London for a conference every 2 or 3 months. To spiritually prepare, Wesley fasted for 10 days before each conference, consuming only bread, natural whole grain, and water. This dedicated fasting and prayer aimed at seeking spiritual power to influence ministries during these gatherings. The impact of these conferences is reflected in the establishment of the world's largest Protestant denomination by those Methodist preachers, a testament to God's honoring of Wesley's spiritual dedication through fasting and prayer. And lastly, the rotation fast. This fast is rarely used in Christian circles as it is primarily used for medical purposes. The rotation fast you mentioned is primarily used for medical purposes to determine a person's reaction or allergy to specific food groups. It involves a one-day normal or absolute fast, followed by introducing one new food group each day for 6 days, rotating through the 6 food groups. This method aids in determining which food might be causing a person's physical problems through a process of elimination and exclusion. Now, let's delve into how to choose a fast. First fast factor. For your first fast, starting with the one-day Yom Kippur. Fast is recommended. If you plan to fast for a longer period to address a serious or ongoing problem, consider fasting 1 day per week for 3 weeks instead of starting with a 3-day fast. For beginners, proceed with caution, especially as you are learning new skills and attitudes for both your body and soul. Your first fast should be a normal fast, consuming only liquids for 1 day. This practice helps train your body not to react negatively if you decide to eliminate both food and liquid later. Matching factor. Try to match the reason for your fast. Consider why you are fasting and choose a fast that aligns with that purpose. Whether it's for spiritual growth, addressing a health concern, or seeking clarity, the type and duration of your fast should match your goals and intentions. Consider a normal fast for routine requests, and opt for a more stringent fast with stricter requirements when addressing a more serious problem. Ensure a comfort factor by feeling at peace with both the length and type of fast. When deciding what to eliminate during your fast, avoid second-guessing yourself or feeling guilty. Choose a type of fast that allows you to be comfortable with your decision. Factor in time considerations. Assess your weekly schedule and choose fasting days that are suitable. Consider special events or holidays where fasting might not be advised, such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, weddings, etc. Avoid starting with a long fast if you're new to fasting. It's essential to have an idea of what to expect and gradually ease into the practice. Absolutely, a 1-day fast is a simple yet significant step. Whatever fast you choose, especially if it's your first, remember that it's a leap of faith. God sees your heart and will reward your commitment accordingly. Trust the process, listen to your body, and be aware of your emotional reactions. Each step in your fasting journey is a testament to your dedication and faith.